Good morning, North Texas. It is the 25th day of June. You have found the Fort Worth Roots Morning Show. Well, welcome. This is a 20-minute long episode meant to get you up to date with what's going on in your community. Real quick, I want to give a warm, real big shout out to everybody that came out last night to McFly's Pub. We had business owners and band members and artists of all kinds. So thank you guys for coming on out to McFly's. We do it every Tuesday night at 5 o'clock. And we continue to grow the thing and make it more special for you every week. It's our opportunity to connect with you guys face-to-face and help you get your message out about upcoming events, your brand, whatever you got going on. So come on out. Tuesdays, McFly's, 5 o'clock. All right, let's get into the weather real quick. This weather report is brought to you by theazleacademy.org. Check that out online. They are an asset that you can use to expand your child's mind, and they are ready to take on new friends, new customers, new clients, whatever you call it, at theazleacademy.org. All right, today 91 degrees, 73 for a low. Thursday 91, 74 for a low. 94 on Friday, 76 for a low. Saturday 96 and 76 for a low. And then Sunday 97 for a high, 77 for a low. Scanning forward into next week, it looks like by next weekend we're going to see those triple digits. Not looking forward to it. Okay, let's get into National Day of. By the way, if you guys have anything that you'd like to share with the community, the Fort Worth Roots Morning Show is here just to make sure that you have an outlet to get your message to the public. So if you got an event coming up, you can leave an audio recording on Instagram through our DMs, and we will play it on the show. You can also email us if you don't have Instagram, media@fortworthroots.com with an MP3, and we will play it on the show. I want to give a big old shout out to Mandy Han. We had a question yesterday. The question was, help me help you. What movie was that from? And Mandy knew what it was immediately because she just watched it again on Sunday night, she says. The answer, of course, was Jerry Maguire. Yesterday, our buddy James did not know the answer to that because he's considerably younger than myself. But yeah, Jerry Maguire. And if you haven't seen the movie, it's an American classic. That's all I'll say about that. All right, National Day of. Today's Bourdain Day, June 25th. We're going to have to click on this one. Our trip to Far West Texas, if you followed along on social media, we got to stop into a little burrito shop out there in Marfa, Texas. And there's a picture of the owner standing side by side with Anthony Bourdain. It's really cool. Also Kevin Bacon and a bunch of other big name celebrities. All right, Bourdain Day. If I'm an advocate for anything, it's to move as far as you can, as much as you can, across the ocean or simply across the river. Walk in someone else's shoes or at least eat their food. It's a plus for everybody. Anthony Bourdain. Anthony Bourdain backed up his words with action, all the while urging us to do a lot more than simply try new foods in exotic places. Filled with fascinating strangers, he desperately wanted us to break out of our comfort zone and see the world in person, through the eyes of people we would never otherwise meet. Watching his TV show, first No Reservations and then Parts Unknown, enabled us to spend time with a real-life explorer who trotted around the world in search of, well, the things that make us all human. Food, yes, but also love, spirit, and passion. Bourdain, who suffered from depression, took his own life in 2018 at the age of 61. Anthony was my best friend, tweeted French chef and close friend Eric Rippert. At the time, an exceptional human being, so inspiring and generous. Rippert, along with another longtime friend, Jose Andres, declared June 25th, Bourdain's birthday, Bourdain Day in 2019. So happy Bourdain Day, everybody. Okay, moving on. Texas Day by Day, tshaonline.org. This day in history. On this day in 1999, the San Antonio Spurs captured their first National Basketball Association championship by winning Game 5 of NBA Finals against the New York Knicks in Madison Square Garden. All right, and this day in history, 1947, Anne Frank's The Diary of a Young Girl is released. 2 years after her death at 15 in the Bergen-Belsen concentration camp, Anne Frank's account of her time hiding from the Nazis with her Jewish family in Amsterdam is published. The diary, which Frank began on her 13th birthday, is heartbreaking and hopeful in equal measure. 1950, this day in history, North invades South and the Korean War begins. After Japan surrendered at the end of World War II and relinquished control of Korea, the nation had been divided between communist and capitalist powers. With support from the Soviet Union, North Korea and now invades U.S.-supported South Korea in a bid to unify the country, and a bloody 3-year war ensues. 1984, Prince goes purple. Purple Rain is the 6th studio album by the American singer-songwriter, producer, and multi-instrumentalist Prince. It was released on June 25th, 1984 by Warner Brothers Records as the soundtrack album to the 1984 film of the same name. Purple Rain was musically denser than Prince's previous album, emphasizing full band performances and multi-layers of guitars. All right, that's your This Day in History. Time for some news. We got some good stories for you today. This is probably my favorite one for today on Fort Worth Magazine, FWTX.com. Story by Stephen Montoya, Cutthroat Finches to perform at Omni Theater. A one-night-only performance inside a legendary dome promises an experience that's anything but ordinary. It's got a picture of Sean Russell from Cutthroat Finches on there, looking pretty fly. By all accounts, the newly revamped Jane and John Justin Foundation Omni Theater wasn't built with rock shows in mind. For decades, its vast dome projected the far reaches of space for school groups and science buffs, not alternative Americana bands from Fort Worth. But on Thursday, July 18th, the Omni will crack open its newly renovated spaceship-grade sound system for a different kind of journey. One soundtracked by Cutthroat Finches and their 2019 concert album in Event of Moon Disaster. This will be just the second live music event at the Omni since Fort Worth native Jacob Furr kicked off the Live from the Omni concert series in April. This is the biggest show we'll play this year, no question, said Sean Russell, the band's frontman, producer, and spiritual compass. And I'm spending whatever political capital I have to make sure people show up and see what the experience really is. The story does continue, but July 18th, you know where to be, man. This is going to be really cool. If you've never caught Cutthroat Finches live, that is one of my top 3 Fort Worth bands, and they are really kick-ass. So you're going to want to see this. July 18th at the Omni, and you can find them on Instagram as Cutthroat Finches or something like that. So anyway, good stuff. Thank you, Fort Worth Magazine, for covering that. All right, we've got an audio clip here. This is crazy. This happened yesterday, I believe. Let's get into it.
Meantime, back here in the U.S. tonight, a terrifying helicopter crash landing in Clay Township, Michigan. That's in the southeastern part of the state. People watching from a nearby restaurant as the helicopter came in for a landing. Suddenly, the chopper tilts right there, sending the rotor blades right into the dirt. Bystanders rushing to the site to help the pilot and passengers. The 4 people inside, remarkably, all escaped uninjured, and that was good news.
Pretty wild. And the video that they're showing, it's like a Eurocopter. And it looks like the wind got under it, and one of the blades hit the ground. And if one blade hits the ground, they're all going to hit the ground. So anyway, everybody walked away unscathed, which is pretty incredible. All right, let's see here. What else we got? Okay. I thought this was interesting. Maybe you will too. MSN.com, story by Eric Bushman. Governor Abbott celebrates as Texas leads nation in job creation. Governor Greg Abbott is celebrating more economic news for the state of Texas. Texas continues to be number 1 in the country at job creation. More jobs were created last month and over the past 12 months than any other state, according to the governor. Texas is America's undisputed jobs engine, Abbott said in a statement. Texas again leads the nation for the most jobs created over the last 12 months. Employment data from May shows Texas gained the most non-farm jobs over the month at over 28,000. That's wild. 28,000 in the month of May? Okay. Year to year from May of 2024, Texas gained over 213,000 jobs. Non-farm jobs. Okay. That's pretty wild. That feels crazy. That doesn't seem possible. But anyway, him not shutting down 8,000 Delta 8, Delta 9 shops probably helped those numbers. 834 people displaced after historic 6-alarm Fort Worth apartment fire, officials say. There were like 2 apartment fires within 24 hours here in Fort Worth. Big ones. After Fort Worth firefighters battled an apartment fire for nearly 9 hours on Monday, 834 people are now without a home. The Fort Worth Fire Department responded around 1:30 p.m. Monday to reports of a fire at the Cooper apartment complex on West Rosedale Street. What began as a 3-alarm fire quickly escalated into a historic, I don't know what that means, historic 6-alarm fire? I guess just because it's really bad, requiring nearly 170 personnel and 64 fire apparatuses to control the fire. One person was rescued from their apartment and taken to a local hospital with unknown injuries, but Fort Worth Fire Department said they were in stable condition. 6 people, including firefighters and civilians, were treated for heat exhaustion at the scene. Yeah, as hot as it was yesterday, plus fire. Yeah. Crews were on scene Tuesday to monitor for any hot spots that could flare up as structural engineers assessed the building to see when firefighters could re-enter the structure. After a partial roof collapse, this is really bad. Hey, here's one from Tragic. Levels of floor and roof have fallen on top of each other, said Craig, the public information officer for the Fort Worth Fire Department and longtime friend of the Fort Worth Roots podcast. When you've got a fire that's buried under those sorts of things, you've really got to get back in there with your hands and pull this stuff back to put it out. Tragic said there were 2 buildings involved in the fire, connected by a breezeway. All right. And I think the story does go on. I think it was caused by the air conditioning unit. Maybe. All right, your good news story for the day. Ireland shuts last coal plant, becomes 15th coal-free country in Europe. By Andy Corbley at goodnewsnetwork.org. Ireland will become the 15th European nation without coal in its energy mix, following a recent announcement. The ESB Money Point Power Station was built in 1980 to help alleviate the effects of the oil shock, and remains today in County Clare as the last coal-capable asset in the country. It will be converted to burn emergency oil reserves following a surge in renewable energy production. Even that is planned to cease in 2029, but starting from June this year, MoneyPoint will no longer be present in the wholesale electricity market. 11 terawatt hours of electricity was generated by wind turbines last year and made up 37% of Ireland's total energy generation. That's pretty cool. Seems like that's more doable in a space like that because Ireland's such a small country. Yeah, transmission lines wouldn't have to be as long. Okay, again, thank you for coming out Tuesday night, guys. That was awesome. Thank you so much. And we hope that we see more of you out next Tuesday, 5 o'clock, at McFly's Pub. It's a great 1980s Back to the Future themed bar where you guys can just hang out and be part of the community and get the word out about your business, your brand, or any upcoming events. If you guys need anything from Fort Worth Roots, our email is media@fortworthroots.com. And another big thank you to our sponsors. We can't do this without you guys. If you want to find great ways to keep Fort Worth dollars in Fort Worth pockets, go to fortworthroots.com, click on that Trusted Sponsors tab, and see who we dug up for you. Highly rated, trusted companies from the area, locally owned and operated, real estate agents, roofers, landscapers, pretty much anything you can think of. So check it out, fortworthroots.com. As you move through today on the back of a giant sea turtle through outer space or something like that, We hope that you will choose love and gratitude every chance you get. Till tomorrow, folks. Good day.
Great day in the morning. Great day in the morning. 'Cause she got that soul.